What's good with everybody out there, man? This is Felons to Men podcast. This is your boy Flacco, man. You already know from a convict's perspective, from pictures of reality. I'm just trying to push a little bit of content out there for you guys, man. It's been a while since I tapped in. Choco's real busy. But I think to keep this channel afloat, I might as well push something on here real quick. And what we're going to be discussing, man, is, dealing with certain issues in your life that can bring you out of character, can offset you and put you in a position to where you go back to old behaviors, man. And the spiritual tests that you may face in your journey, coming home from prison, coming out of recovery, or whatever it may be. Life's a struggle as it is, man. Even being a normal civilian with a clear mind, you're gonna face those trials and tribulations, man. Life's a perpetual struggle. And see, for me personally, I've always had a tendency to self-sabotage, self-destruct. When I'm encountered with certain things in life that make me feel uncomfortable, I usually do the most damage then. And for the people out there, man, these are the type of vices and characteristics, things you need to look at in yourself. What are your triggers? What can offset you that gets you going from where everything's positive to where you go negative? And for years, my life has been like that. I get out of prison, I do good, get a job, I get back into illicit activities and whatnot. And even now, was, 5 years before I started dating again, got married, and I still face those trials and tribulations on a daily basis, man, because I'm still learning to evolve into the person I need to be. And along those lines, I encounter certain things that maybe I'm not used to encountering anymore. When you make a transition and trying to change yourself, and you encounter something that you do not know how to deal with at times, it's easy to go back to old behaviors because that's what you're used to. That's your comfort zone. And I've gone through that. When things are good, it's really easy to proceed forward, man. So for those that step out in life and you're trying to make those changes, you're gonna have these spiritual tests that come across your path. Don't give into it. Don't let that be the excuse or reason why you fuck your life up, because only you can control your destiny. And so often people who continue to resort back to old behaviors, they always have somebody to blame, but the only person you can truly blame is yourself for your own actions. I did that for years. I went to prison when I was young, society won't give me a chance, or my relationship, they don't understand how I'm feeling. Those are all just excuses. They're all pretty much a crap of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. And so, as man, as you mature, even if you continue to make wrong choices, don't self-sabotage to where you can't come back from it. Because life is very precious, man. The choices and decisions that you make out there in the community, society, your relationships, your friendships, your workplace, people are watching. Not everybody's going to give you that second chance, that third chance, that fourth chance. Some people, they're one and done, in life. And some of our actions could be one and done. I went through a program when I was getting my kid back. And some dude got a little stupid with me there, right? In a fashion I'm not used to. I ended up throwing him across the room. I ended up slapping the shit out of him, like a little weenie, right? And he just wasn't used to who I was. You know what I'm saying? And they brought me in, to my counselor, the head director there, and they were kind of old school. And technically, I was supposed to get kicked out. And I was fearful of that, man, because the consequences were I wouldn't see my son. They gave me a chance. It was the first time in my life where I didn't self-sabotage, where the results were negative. But that could have been a whole different outcome. I could have been kicked out the program, back to running the streets, back to doing what I do. But instead, they gave me a chance. But not everybody out there in society is going to give you a chance. It's just a spur of the moment actions that people look at you. You don't know how they may perceive it. You may have different intentions, or you may look at it just as a little, I'm not going to say tantrum, but a little spike of anger where you're addressing how you feel. But that person over there may feel threatened by you. I've had numerous situations to where just those one situations, next thing you know, I'm suffering the consequences for the rest of my life because of that. And not everybody is used to that type of behavior. I've had people literally scared of me when I get mad, And I'm thinking afterwards, like, fuck, that's fucking normal where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? I grew up fucking in a household to where plates were being thrown, guns were being pulled out and shot in the house, and, you know, verbal assaults and all kinds of shit. You know, I thought that was the norm. You know, not that I engage in that type of behavior today, but my aggressiveness when I get mad, I'm fucking off the hook sometimes, man. And I've really had to tone it down, which is going to go to the second part of this, man. Coming out trying to change your ways and having to deal with personal issues sometimes is difficult. You know, sometimes I don't like the way I have to react to scenarios. You know, I'm one of those ones where I take everything, you know, on a level of respect. And I think that's due to being institutionalized. Respect means everything. You disrespect someone, what ends up happening in prison? You end up getting a steel put up in your neck. And so I'm used to that same type of respect being applied in the streets and in my relationships. Now, I've toned it down since I've matured and I haven't been in prison for a long time. But some of those traits are hard, you know, and I see it all the time in relationships. That's one of the biggest issues that people have in relationships is that sometimes a woman will push those buttons knowing that a man, you know, wants to react a certain way or is not, you know, conforming to what they're saying and want to act in a certain way, but they can't, you know. And then there's those that do. They get off the fucking hook. And that's a hard part, man, because that'll fuck you up inside. That'll fuck with your mind. That'll make you fucking think certain things, and it'll make you just, you know, whenever you can't deal with something the way you want to deal with it, it's even harder to accept when things are being done wrong to you. And what people don't realize that when something's being done wrong to you, it's maybe not, they may not realize it, but see, that's the same token. You got to sit there and understand not everybody reacts to the same thing, and that's where communication is key. But I've seen situations where you can communicate and that button is still pushed. In the workplace, on the streets, relationships, whatnot, man. And so how do we deal with that? And to be truthful, man, if it's that bad, you gotta step out of your element. You know, because if you engage, they're gonna recognize that you feel a certain way and they're gonna continue it. You know, there's people out there who, you know, at work, relationships, friendships, enemies, whatever you want to call it out there, that once they see your weaknesses, they will use it against you. So the most important thing to do is don't ever let it be known that certain things affect you. Maybe have a conversation respectfully, you know, but once you cross that threshold to where you show that aggressiveness of how bad it affects you, now every time there's a scenario or situation, they're going to use that against you time and time again. You know, it's hard as a felon stepping out to the streets, you know, not used to working, interacting with society and whatnot, and then to have to deal with people who maybe don't understand where your mente is at, where your mind's at. See, just because someone's a felon and lived a certain lifestyle does not mean that they're low class, that they're scum, that they're fucking have a gang-banging mentality. That gang-banging mentality with me ended when I was 18 years old. I was in stuff that was more advanced, that demanded rigorous discipline and professional mannerism, right? And the consequences for me not acting in accordance to that could be death. So think about how strong I feel about respect amongst people, you know, it really on a high level, man. And maybe that's due to still having the prison mentality up here, but that doesn't mean that thinking like that is wrong. You know, people hold your past against you. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you got to show people that you're more than what they see at times. And even if you have a struggle in life, after you've been out for 2-3 years, you know what I'm saying, and you start to fall off or resort to certain behaviors, does not mean that you can't bounce back up. Don't let anyone tell you or make you feel inferior to who you are as a person. Okay? Set the bar up here. If someone says you can't complete it, show them that you can. You know, and that's where my mindset is right now, is that, you know, being out for a while and doing good and stuff like that, I went through some rough transitions, rough scenarios recently, you know what I'm saying? And it put me in a lot of uncompromising situations, predicaments where I felt abandoned, disrespected. And I ain't gonna lie, man, I wanted to go back to my old behaviors, man, and start putting bullets in people's back of their heads, you know what I mean? And that's that negative thinking. That's that when I don't feel comfortable, I go back to old behaviors. Now, that doesn't mean as a man, I'm going to sit there and accept everything coming my way. You know what I'm saying? I'm still going to be about that action when it comes down to it, man. Test me anytime. But I got to look at what's more meaningful to me today. and not let the little small things, get me out of character. Not let the people who want to sit there and, see me fail, so they go out of their way to do whatever they can to try to push those buttons or create scenarios, create gossip. You know what I mean? The only way to sit there and stop those that wish to attack you is to do it through your own fucking actions. And if you give them that control, and what I mean by that, if you allow them to affect how you're feeling, your emotions, they're already winning. They've already succeeded at what they're seeking. There's a lot of mind games in this world, man. Not everybody has your best interest at heart. There's a lot of evil people. There's a lot of people who are corrupt. There's a lot of people who don't give a shit about you. That's fucking real life there. And as a felon coming out, you always have to remember that. Not everybody has your best interest at heart. And that could be family, friends, relationships, whatever it may be. Recognize it when it comes your way. And do what's best for you. This podcast, Felon Demand Podcast, I know we should be pushing more content, man, but when we do put content on here, it's going to be meaningful. It's going to help someone, And for me, it helps me because, I have a lot of vices in myself. I get affected emotionally by certain things, man. Respect means a lot. Loyalty means everything. You know what I'm saying? Honesty as well. And it's real easy for me to tear down that path, right? Instead of staying focused, like, look, I may have faltered over here, but I can get back in. But sometimes what happens is I start to deter down this path, and I start to try to justify why I'm going down that path. No, you can't do that, man. Get back up and do what you got to do. Life's going to hit you. It's going to knock you down. Otherwise, you're not living life. And that's the fucking truth. So as felons, you're not going through anything different than any other individual has gone through that's a normal person in society. You go out there and you show people that you too can be a normal person in society. That's key. It's your boy Flacco. I'm out.